Okay, now I noticed that we do not have a break between now and the next speaker, who is yours truly, me. So I would suggest that you just kind of hang in here, and if you do need to jump up and go do something while I'm speaking, feel free to do that, but please don't leave the room because it's not break time. Okay? So we're just going to get into this. Zach is going to come up here and say just a little bit about me. Go ahead, Zach.
Okay, so next up we got Dan Ringwald, Santa Barbara REIA Director. Dan owns and operates a number of businesses. He's able to do this through his coaching, generosity of his family, staff, and SBREIA members and volunteers. He's got a handful of programs he'll cover today. A few of them are National Home Buyers LLC, owns rent-ready properties. Santa Barbara Real Estate Investors Association offers education and support. Personal Power Project, weekly calls and go over goals, and Santa Barbara Community Design, media marketing, and community support. So let's give them a warm round of applause.
So you think Zach's going to survive in Texas and all these other places? You're doing good, Zach. Thank you very much. Let's give Zach a hand here. Our job is to kind of give him the experience that he feels good about going on and work with him. I think we'll be fine. Thank you. So thank you all for being here. It's just wonderful to see what happened here today and what's going on. You guys are inspiring, and there's two things that I really want you to do today. One was network. You can't do that at home watching TV or these videos. And two is ask questions. So as I go through this, please interrupt me, because there's not enough in 1 hour to really teach you what's going on and what to do. And that's why when I do my teaching and my coaching, it's all free. Free. So if you say, hey, you know, I've seen so many people get into these programs where they end up having to pay a lot of money, and before long they're burnt out. They don't have to keep paying more money. So I just say, you know, if we're building teams, forget about paying. Let's just build the teams and figure out how we're going to make money together. Okay? So, you got questions, just raise your hand or whatever. I have no problems for us stopping. I really do want to stop and answer the question. Plus, it's going to pick up your energy. You know what's going to happen if I talk up here for an hour? And that's all I do? You're going to be... Let's not go there, okay? So, Santa Barbara REIA, you can see the two web URLs to get you up and going. YouTube, everything we're doing here is going up on YouTube, and we do this for every meeting. So, once a month we have a meeting toward the end of the month. We video it all. Michael, hey! We're doing videos. We have Lana out there, my daughter, my wife is here. They both all did the great registration. So that's really, you know, that's my accomplishment. Having this family that's, you know, actually together. People come in here on the speakers and go, I can't even, you know, most people can't get their kids to have dinner together. You've got them all working here together. I mean, how do you do that? It's a great feeling, and I'm just so proud to have that happen. So yeah, the videos, you know, there's so many times I go back and start looking at these videos and I go, I was in the meeting. I had to watch this video 3 times before I actually got what the speaker said. You know, so these are really valuable from that standpoint. But again, you can't ask questions and you can't network, and that's what's really important about getting out of the house and getting into something like this. Okay. Okay, so free gifts. Anybody want coaching on real estate, computing, going green? By the way, Michael is not only doing the videos, but as we build these teams up, and you guys need some type of help, whether it be computing, because he's really good. You know, it's all about credibility, and you got to have something that's credible. And I said, well, where's your credibility for helping people with computer support? You need to get that picture that we took at you when you were 2 years old, sitting there at the computer. So you can show people how long you've been doing this. He can absolutely help you with that and help you with real estate, because he's been kind of hanging out for a long time going, Dad, I want to do what you're doing. And like I've said before, you know, I want to go to Baja. I really liked Robert's thing, you know. I'm ready for that. Okay, so where are we here? We got to get past all this and down to my stuff. Okay, so National Home Buyers is my main company. And that's where I go out and I buy and sell properties. And joint venture. A lot of people, you've heard everybody say, well, we can get you these properties, whatever. You got the management company, it's your property. We kind of do that from the standpoint that we flip a property and just go, hey, if you really want to have at it, be my guest. But what I really do is I joint venture with you, and we both go on the deed, because the only way that I make money is if I keep the rents up and I keep the expenses down. And I'm not in this business to lose. I'm in this business to win. And if you're on the deed with me, guess who's winning with me? We're going to make sure this works. Okay? Just to give you an idea, yeah, we do a lot of low-end properties, and now that the economy's coming back, we can do high-end stuff in California and Reno and Las Vegas where we come in and do a quick flip. I'm not up for doing anything like rehabs, really not up for loans. I want to do everything that we can possibly do cash, okay? So if we did get a high value property, a few months back, we were in Pismo Beach, and Linda Piagas had a meeting like this in Pismo Beach, and at that time I had some major credit problems. I really needed to get rid of, to bury a lot of credit, because we want to refinance the primary residence that we live in. We want to refinance one of the rental properties we have, and I met a private lender there who loaned us $150,000. He said, well, are you sure that's all you want? He said, my minimum is $100,000, but I'll go to $1 million. And I said, well, I'd love to have $1 million, but I don't want to make it famous on that, so let's not go there. So, if we do need the cash, we've got the cash, but when you're talking about that high-end stuff, you don't really need the cash because all you're doing is signing a contract. Before the market crashed, and I was out at the university, which I worked there for 25 years, 26 years, and I figured I made 4 times as much part-time doing real estate as I made full-time working there. And I flipped the property on a $10 contract and made $50,000 just flipping it. And I went, wow, I'm not going to do this full time. I got to get out of here. I'll go broke staying at the university. I got out of there, and what happened? The market crashed. And guess what I found out? Ooh, this is a lot more difficult when things are going down than it is when things are going up. You can be kind of blind, and you can get out there and go to rehab a property, and the more you mess up and the longer you take, the value just keeps going up because the values are going up. Pretty hard to lose that way. But when the market's going down and you're rehabbing properties, you can put $50,000 into a property, and a couple months later the property could be worth $50,000 less just because the market's going down. Is that bad? Oh, that's really bad. So you got to be real careful what market you're in and kind of what you're doing. So just to give you an idea, on these properties where I go through and I do joint ventures with people, let's just say, here's an example, and it doesn't have to be that low, it doesn't have to be $20,000. Some people may come in and go, well, damn, that's great, but I don't want to do a $20,000 property in that area. I want to do a 40 or 50 or 60. We can do that, with higher properties, but we want to do it with cash. We don't want to do it with loans. If the place is vacant for a month or two because we're turning over tenants, which is the last thing I want to do, because that's the biggest problem for anybody's money and investment is when you turn over tenants. You got a big mess to clean up, expensive, you got no rent coming in, so I do everything I can. I'll beg, I'll plead, I will use you guys as my investors as my bad cop. Look, I know you haven't paid rent. My investor wants you out of there. I don't want you out of there. But they really want you out. They want to go to court. They want to evict. They want to do collections. They want to do all that stuff. I don't want to do that. What do we need to do? Now, if they go more than 30 days, we really have to get them out. Because you know what happens after 30 days? They're so far behind in rent, there's no way they're ever financially going to be able to catch up. Game's over. Seriously. So I'll do whatever I can to beg and plead and let them know that the investor's going to get them if they don't. And if worse comes to worse, but if we just had somebody who left, I say, hey, look, you can leave without paying your rent. You can leave the place trashed. Whatever. Please, just go. Because it's a lot cheaper to say, please, just go. You've heard of cash for keys? Cash for keys? If I have to do that too, I will. But it's much better to say, You know, if you need to leave, leave. We won't come after you if you go now. So that works, but really I don't want to turn properties over, because again, the less expense we have, the better the profit. Okay? So let's just take a quick look at this. $20,000 invested, $600 a month in rent. This is my income. This is the joint venture partner's income. $3,600 a year because we're splitting it. Okay? $18,000 in maybe 5 years, $18,000 in 5 years. This is the investor's expense. And you want to tell the investor, well, I'm not paying for any repairs. I'm not buying the house. I'm not doing the repairs. You're doing all that. When we eventually sell, we get some profit, and they're kind of looking at me like, what? And you know, in the beginning, it's kind of a hard thing to imagine. But when you come back later on and say, well, look, when we sell, we're going to take your expenses, and if it's $13,000, and if we do sell for $60,000, the first thing I'm going to do is take out your expenses and give it back to you along with your original investment. So if you come in with $20,000, it's not like I get half of $20,000. That's yours. $20,000, you're going to get back. If you spent, you know, $13,000 in expenses over a 5-year period, you're going to get it back. If there's any profit at the end when we sell, that's what we split up. Okay? So you spend a little bit of time doing some stuff at the beginning, and I'm doing the majority of the work. Now, I used to say I do 100% of the work, and the reality is that you do some of the work because you're going to help decide what you're going to buy, how much we're going to sell it for, what expenses we're going to pay for, you know. And the reason that, is it Jonathan in here? You have somebody that was talking about doing, let's see, what was it? Maybe it was notes. I think it was notes. And he wants to come and speak at one of our meetings, and I met him in Paso Robles, and he goes, well, Dan, you know, you really shouldn't say that you do 100% of this because it's a security and exchange issue about having 100% passive investment. And I went, oh, I'll quit saying that, because really the truth is you are involved, you are doing some things management-wise, but not much. So I make sure that when I'm advertising this stuff, that I'm not just saying it's passive, 100%, you don't have to do anything. But the nice thing is you might say, hey, look, I love my career. I don't want to do this. How many people in here really want to learn how to do all this stuff and go out and do it? Okay? How many people in here really don't want to have much to do with this? They just want to be able to invest some money and get a good return and let somebody else worry about it? Okay? So I would expect to see fewer hands just because most REIAs, you know, 60–70% of the REIA are new investors, and the other 30% are seasoned investors, and that's why it's important that you network. So you can go, oh, wow, you know, I don't have any money, but I can sure spend a lot of time looking for things for you. You know, if I can get some kind of finder's fee, I'd love to help you out. Okay, so that's why it's so important that we have a mix of those types of people in these meetings where you guys can network with each other and make that happen. Okay? So what happens at the very end, take out the expenses, you know, $34,000, it really is $50. It's okay. I need some questions. You guys, let's get that energy going. So if you've got any questions, let's just stop and answer. Let's ask some questions. Anybody got any questions on this so far?
Where do you find your private money lenders?
In meetings like this. In fact, if somebody comes to me and says, Dan,
you raise their hand, right?
well, you know, here's the thing about private lending. You just can't come up here and go, hey, I'm a private lender. You guys need money, just let me know. That's a security and exchange problem right there. And we know some people know that, right?
You know what?
And so we have to be very careful.
Turn me on to the note buying and selling business and both, you know.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, I had all my securities licenses, seen on the Board of Trade in Chicago. I called the SEC, they called me back next day, no problem. Then they referred me to Arizona Department of Securities and Exchange Commission, blah, blah, blah. Everybody, no problem, no problem, no problem.
Okay. Well, you know, that's good, and as long as they're saying no problem, that's good. But when somebody comes to you and says, not only is it a big problem, I hate to say it, but you're going to jail. That's a big problem. That's a problem I don't want to deal with. And it's kind of like when Ron was talking about IRA stuff. You know, it's a lot easier to go find another deal than it is to try to do something really complicated and squeeze it in there and make it work when it's kind of in the gray area. And that's why she was trying to tell you, be careful about all that stuff. You know, just go do another deal. Get something that's easier to do, something that fits in there, and something that works, so you can get through it and make it happen. We've got IRA stuff for my son and daughter. We've got traditionals. We've got Roth, self-direction. There's all different ways to do this investing.
I mean,
So-
that was my first thought, was red flags, so I was gonna check it out before I jumped in the deep end, you know?
That's a good thing to do. I'll tell you, here's the problem. Now, we might have a disclosure up there someplace, and Linda Pleotis gave me her disclosure thing and said, here's the thing for my lawyer, why don't you tweak it a little bit for yourself? So I put it up there because how many people and how many stories have you guys heard about people going to these real estate things and they feel like they've gotten scammed for $50,000 or $40,000 or $200,000 or whatever? Part of it's, you know, these people are really bad, they are scamming people, and part of it's for us that we're not doing the due diligence that we should do. Come in here and sit in a seminar and start signing paperwork right in the seminar, that's not enough due diligence. If you go back to a 3-day seminar after that and then start signing paperwork, that's not enough to do the due diligence. And when they tell you, this is it, you get your credit card out today and you're going to get a deal, and you're not going to get this deal any other time, and you know why? Because they can't say in front of everybody, okay, you know, what do you want to give it to? Because then they'd have to give it to everybody else in the room. But if you call them up later on, and it's just one-on-one, you and them, I guarantee you, they're going to work with you, and it's going to be whatever you guys can come to an agreement of, and it probably will be as good or better than what was going to happen here, but you will have given yourself enough time to do the due diligence that you need to do. I guarantee you, playing catch-up from being thousands of dollars in debt is a lot more time and a lot more consuming than doing some due diligence. You got a question?
Well, no, I mean, just probably along the lines of what you're saying. In fact, there's it's called there's certain things they can't even put. It's called you have to be a sophisticated investor thing. It's like a certain amount when the level hits a bit. Like there's certain things that
Accredited investor. Okay,
Yeah.
it's kind of like an accredited property manager.
Yeah, it's like okay, well, like opportunities you can't give to someone because just you have to be a certain level net level, you know, net before you can even go that investment.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's really about doing your due diligence. It's about checking things out, and you can start real easy. All you have to do is put somebody's name in a Google search. James, scam. James, rip-off. If nothing comes up from James, then he's probably a pretty good guy. If there's a whole bunch of stuff out there, there's probably something going on, and you need to do some more due diligence. Okay? This is really, I can't say it enough, this is the area we all need to spend more time at. I got totally taken by a property in Ohio, and about 100 other investors in LA got taken by the same person.
Wow.
And everybody wanted their money back, and what happened was, when I found out that the city of Cleveland officials, which is a number of them going to jail, you know, we're going to go back and take and confiscate all those properties and try to convict this guy and get him, I realized there's going to be nobody's going to get their money back now, because when the city comes in, do you think that you're going to be able to win your money back from the city? They're just going to clean it all up, grab it up, and it's going to be gone, and that's it. Well, they did find the guy running across the border, and they threw him in jail. It's a lawyer in Orange County. And that's one thing. What was my lesson out of that? Always close with a title company, because they'll protect the investor, they'll protect the seller, and they'll protect the buyer. But when the lawyer says we're a one-stop shop and we do it all, that's a red flag. You know, that's really dangerous stuff. So you gotta watch out for that. So this gives you an idea on if you just wanted to, you know, invest some money and not have to deal with all the stuff. We can do that from me being on the deed with you. Now, I'm not going to be on the deed with 3 or 4 people, because now we're getting into pooling money, and that's another security exchange issue. Don't want to go there and deal with that. Okay?
That was something that was happening in Arizona in 2005 with the elderly people.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's the last people you want to give a hard time to.
That's what the guy told me,
Yeah,
and in fact, I instructed him on some stuff.
yeah, don't mess with the elderly, you know, and start getting into senior abuse, because you go to jail real quick.
Wow.
And you should, really.
Where are your properties?
Properties, where are the properties? Well, I've had properties in Texas, I've had properties in Oklahoma, I've got properties in Memphis, Indiana, Louisiana, a number of places, but if you came to me and you said, hey, you know, that's great, but I don't want to go there, I'd really like to go to Albuquerque, New Mexico. It takes me about a week or two to start building a team, and it's a slower process if we start new, but it can be done, and as soon as we build a team there, then we just keep doing more business there. Because I guarantee you, I'm going to have to probably fire 4 or 5 contractors within a 2 or 3 month period before we actually get a real good team. Because they all say, oh yeah, I'll be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I say, okay, well give me a call. 8 o'clock in the morning comes, did I get a call? No. The next day, where are they? What's going on? So it takes a while to weed through all this stuff and actually build a good team, but it's not a big deal to build one. We'll do it. Okay? You say, well, how do you track all this stuff? How do you know what's going on? How do you ask the investor, how do I know what's going on? How do I, you know, have a sense? Well, everything's on Google Docs. Okay? You guys all know how to get to Google Docs. Spreadsheets are on there 24 hours. Anytime you want to get there, all the information is there about what's going on now. Okay? Pictures. Okay, we've got Gary Geist. Wouldn't you know he'd be gone the moment I got his pictures up there?
Yep.
He would be so happy and proud.
I'll let him know.
You'll let him know, okay? So here are some pictures, but this is all Google Docs, okay? You guys know what that looks like. So we have before pictures that we don't show the general public because they don't need to see that, right? But you as an investor needs to see that because you got to go, wow, that's what it looks like? Yeah, that's what it looks like. And here's the bad pictures before, here's the good pictures after. It's all up on Google Docs 24/7 for you to see. Here's the gotcha. Property management fraud. Okay? I'm not saying never get a property manager because I've got some property managers that are good. I've fired a lot of property managers. I've got a rental here in Santa Barbara that's got a property manager. And you go, damn, why would you have a property manager in the place where you live? Well, you know, California is a tenant-friendly state, not an investor-friendly state. If I got a problem and I go to court, guess what the judge is going to say? And he won't say it, but this is kind of the general thing. I've never seen you before, you just came in here, this is the only property you've got to be a slumlord. Plus all the rules and regulations go along with it. Okay? Now, if the property management goes into court, they go, it's you. You're here every week, you're doing your job, we like people doing their job. They have more respect for a property management company. They see them all the time. Okay? So I prefer to deal with that in some places. It's not right. You never have them, you have them sometimes. It's kind of like, sometimes I have to, like if there's Section 8 properties, I may not, because Section 8 kind of manages it. You know, they don't want to lose their Section 8, right? So if you work with Section 8, you can get them to kind of help manage it. I've got a problem right now with a property where the Section 8 people are going out and they just looked at the place and they're going to fail the tenants, not me. So I'm not going to have to go through a whole big eviction process. They're just going to be off Section 8. Now, they might have a little bit of time to clean it up, but we'll see. Okay. I prefer not to go Section 8, and the reason for that is my whole thing is to get these properties sold at retail value. Now, an investor that comes in is going to say, you want to sell that property? No, because I know what you're going to do. You're going to beat me up on the price, aren't you? You better, or you're not a very good investor, right? So why would I sell my properties with my joint venture partners to an investor? There's no way. I'm going to spend my time over the next year or two educating the tenant that, hey, why would you want to spend $800 a month to rent when if we owner finance you, because we're not doing any of this stuff with cash, I mean with loans. I hate loans, I just don't want to go there. I have to, I will, but I don't. If somebody came to me and said, Dan, I got 5 credit cards, can I rack them up, do one of these properties with you? I'm not going there, okay? But if it's all cash, then okay. There is a problem there and a gotcha there that you got to be careful about, and I've been through it a lot. So I just don't want to go there, and I don't want my investors to have to go there. I'm going to educate those tenants to the point where I say, hey, if we owner finance you, and we give you the money, well, not the money, but we owner finance you and put this property kind of in your name, and we would do that through a land trust, and we're going to have Mr. Land Trust Randy Hughes back here in February. He's been here a couple of times and spoke. It's really good. I've got all of his stuff at home. We had a speaker back here last month, which was Cliff Gager. Really good guy, doing a lot of good stuff. Anybody here? Was anybody here to see Cliff and his thing? Oh, yeah. Was he funny and entertaining?
He is a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's a lot of fun. And he's very smart, very sharp. But he started talking about land trusts. And immediately I got onto the judgment phase and just kind of held on, like, I know this isn't why you were here, but you know about this. And I need to know about this because if I die or if my joint venture partner dies, we want to not deal with probate. Okay? Don't want to deal with probate. So we're going to have him come back and speak. He spoke a lot about that. So he's a good person. We're going to figure that out because it's just a great thing to do. And this is how we're going to do the owner financing. Is we'll go through a land trust and we'll eventually work with a lender and try to get these people to the point where their credit gets up to 640 or better. Once we get up to that point, because I'm not going to go in there and I'm not going to say, well, I'll owner finance you and I'm going to let you pay half as much for rent as you're paying now. If I did that, they'd be there forever and we'd never cash out. Can't do that. But I can owner finance you and get you to the point where when you do go to a lender with the 640K or 640 credit FICO score, thank you, the lender will go, oh, you already own it through a land trust? Well, you're not here to purchase the property, you're here to refinance the property. If you're refinancing it, you don't need any money down, right?
Right.
Okay. So now they get a property with no money down. They get to move from paying $800 a month to owning it for $400 a month. Okay? Now, $400 a month, how much is that a year?
48.
Good. And if you took the 48 and put it in your pocket, and you had a good interest rate where you were paying $400 instead of $800, what kind of write-off are you going to have at the end of the year? How much money would you be able to get back and stick in your pocket? A couple thousand, maybe? So you take the $2,000 from that and the $4,000 from the rent, now you're looking at $6,000 in their pocket that they didn't have before. And if they're worried about repairs, don't you think that every year with an extra $6,000 you could probably handle the repairs? Yeah. Okay. So my job is to try to educate them to get them to that point. If that happened in 6 months, bam, we're out of there. You know, we're not doing this for flips, quick flips, because these properties don't quick flip very well. But they will sell to tenant buyers. Okay? Here's an example of a property that we got in Ohio. And the lot next door, the house was bulldozed down by the city. And my contractor came back and said, hey, Dan, you got to get over there and check this lot out because you could probably pick it up for a few $1,000s. And, you know, it would increase the value of your property. You could build on it, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, okay. And I ran out of time. What do you think happened?
He bought it elsewhere.
The city said that, right?
The city sent me a letter and said, we're going to auction this lot off. Do you want to buy it? Now, in a downturn market where nobody can build because they can't compete with houses that you can get that are foreclosure, you think that builders are going to run there and pay a bunch for that? in my opinion. So I said, well, if they're not going to be in there paying a whole bunch for it, why should I? If they're asking 200, I'll offer 3. They came back 2 weeks later, or about 2 weeks later, said we had the auction, nobody bid, here's your lot, $300. Well, we got a tenant in there that the only reason he rented that was because he wanted to have a house with the most space in the neighborhood, and he's happy to have that extra space. Okay, so that helps to add something to the property. It's $300, that's another reason. Okay. Questions?
Where was the house at? You said in Ohio? Or where at? What's
This
the
particular
address?
house here is Indiana.
Oh, in the end.
Indiana.
Okay.
Okay. I look for places where it's easy to get somebody out if it's a problem. And in Indiana, 2 weeks, they're out of there for $150.
Yeah.
That's it. And if they go back, please see them, they go to jail.
Yeah.
Okay. California, how long could they live in your house in California?
6 months.
2 years? There's a difference in the states and what's going on there. Okay, so now Gary's back. Gary Geist, this is one of his investments, one of his properties that we bought from him with one of the investors that we have in the room. I'm not going to point out and look at anybody.
Right.
But just to give you an idea, we don't have any before pictures. I don't think I got any, but the after pictures, look at that. And I talked to Gary and I said, Gary, we really don't want carpets. I'm done. Those things are trashed in a year. You know how filthy these things can be, even when we're living on them, and you want to move into a house where somebody else was living in them? No. Let's just get rid of the carpets. We'll pay a little bit more up front to put in these floors that look like hardwood floors, and they're just Home Depot vinyl plank flooring. Very easy to install. Our daughter has installed some of these things at our house. She's not here. Is she gone? She's still up front? She should be back here. Jeez, especially since she's going to be going to nursing school, and we're going to lose her here real soon. But, Gary did a great job. Thank you, Gary. Gary Geist back here. This is the kind of work he does, okay? So I work with different people like Gary in different states and different cities, and when I find somebody good like Gary, I hang on to them because they're gold. They're looking out for you and making sure that you get what you're asking for. And this, I think, was a $20,000 home. That was it, $20,000. Okay, now the rent I got it on there for about $600. What I do on the rent, most of the people go, you'll never get $600. Gary's back there thinking, $600, good luck, Dan. Good luck. I know that's a $500 a month place, because he knows, he's been there. But what I do is I try to advertise, and in my Craigslist ads, I say, rent or lease purchase. And when they start talking to me and I explain to them what the possibility is and where we can go in a year or two, and I tell them, I don't care about your credit right now, how bad it is. We'll get to that problem when we need to get there. You can come up with money up front and lease purchase immediately, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 if you got it. If you don't have it, my investor requires that you pay the rent on time every month for at least 6 months in a row. If you do that, then we can get you an at least purchase program. But if you get to month number 5 and you blow it and you're late, we start back to month number 1. We start counting all over again. And the reason that we do that is because the mortgage companies are not going to accept anything less than 6 months paid on time. And guess how you're going to pay? PayPal. Okay, so, they're not going to say no to PayPal. The records are all there. PayPal doesn't lie. That's why I love PayPal. I never have to ask for anybody's credit card. I don't want to be responsible for getting hacked. I know computer stuff, and I know you can get hacked really quick. I don't want to go there. PayPal's not going to get hacked. Maybe. I don't know. It's their problem if they do. As a business, if you get hacked, you've got to go back to all of your clients and tell them, hey, you know what? We got hacked. You probably better change your credit card. And the people are going to go, I'm not only changing my credit card, I'm changing who I do business with. Because if you're that bad, I don't want to do business with you. I don't want to go there.
Not Bank of America.
Bank of America and all these banks get hacked all the time. And you know what they do? You never know it, and they will never admit it, and they'll never tell you, because they want to keep their image up like they're great. And how do they make up for what they lost? We all pay it in higher rates on credit cards or whatever. We're paying for it. They're not paying for it, I guarantee you. Okay?
What are the pros and cons of lease with a purchase from the owner's perspective?
Okay, so from the owner's perspective, you get people who are more committed to that property and will treat it better. You actually get an avenue, an exit strategy that's going to give you closer to retail sales, you know, because we want to maximize what we get. And the people who are living there are the most emotionally attached to the property. They're already there. They don't want to leave. And do they care if they pay close to retail value? What they really care about is how much do I have to pay per month. When they find out it's half as much as renting, they're less concerned about the price. Now what I'd like to do, and I do, is go back and say, well, let's get an appraisal. If the appraisal comes in at $60,000, well, how about if we sell it to you at $55,000? We want somehow to have them see that they're going to get a deal, and we've owner financed them, and we've done everything we can to make them win. You know, I've gone to so many of these seminars where the gurus say, hey, you know what? Don't ever tell them who you are. Hide the fact that you're the property owner. Don't deal with those tenants. Those tenants are as valuable as the investors, because it's the team that's going to make us all successful. We're part of the team. And they got to know that, or they're not going to get there. Okay? So I'm all for working with them. That's my job. It's a job you don't have to do, you know? So, you know, for the people that just want to invest, you know, we can do that. 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, whatever. The numbers still work. It's still going to be 50-50 by the time we're done. And, you know, if we sold in 6 months, we got lucky. If it took us 5 years, it doesn't matter because it was supposed to be a cash flow property anyway, right? Just constant cash. The idea about constant cash is, you know what? It's okay to flip properties. When I flipped that property and made $50,000 with a $10 earnest deposit, and I quit my job, university was like this. Financially, just gradually, I got another 5% or 3%, and my emotions were kind of like this. And then when I flipped that property and quit the university, my life was like this, and like that, and like this, and my emotions were like that, and my money was like this and that. That's not a very fun place to be.
Right.
You know, you're going to go to the doctor with an ulcer really quick. Okay? But if you have cash flow every month in something like this, where it's paying your bills, and that stuff's where you need it to be, and you're out flipping properties, then so what if it's up and down? You know? I haven't done a good flip for 6 months, but I got all this cash flow coming in from these constant properties that are paying the bills, so it doesn't matter a whole lot. So that's why it's so important to have both. And when you're first starting off, really flipping is all you can do because you don't have the money to even do this, and you don't have the credibility. I mean, if you think about it and you say, well, Dan, you're not spending any of the money, you're not putting the money in for repairs, you're not putting the money into purchase, you know, you're not putting nothing in but your time. That's everything. Guess what happens when we run out of time? You're dead. Exactly. So what's way more important and valuable than any money? Time.
Yeah.
You know? It really is. So, you know, sure, you could do this too, but the problem is if you're just starting off, there's no credibility when you go out there and tell people I can do this, and they say, well, show me what you've done, and you can't show them. They're going to go, it doesn't take me that much due diligence to figure out I'm not going to go there. And that's why, you know, like I say, I don't care if you go with me or any speaker you've had here today, and the truth is I do care, I'd much rather have you go with me, right? You've got to go with somebody if you're starting off, because you've got to have some credibility where you can go up and say, hey, you know what? This is the kind of stuff that we do. Now, I'm kind of a cog in the wheel, but I work with people that have been doing this for 30 years. They know what they're doing. It's successful. And I can get you to them, and we can make this happen. you need that until you get to the point where you can do it on your own, and you've got some stuff that you can show people what you're doing. So in the meantime, what I do here on the coaching is I say, hey, I don't want your $1,000, I don't want your $5,000 or your $20,000, your $45,000, sign up for some big coaching program. I just want your time, the most valuable thing you've got. And we'll work together for free, and I won't charge you anything. And if you're up for it, we'll do it. If you're not, you won't. And the truth is, most won't, and that's why everybody's charging so much, because they're knowing, hey, you know, let's just go get all this money, because they're not going to do anything anyway. That's why people like Donald Trump have all these lawsuits going out right now, because he's used his name for all this educational stuff that people, you know, they didn't do. I've got the cellophane wrappings from Randy Hughes, who's going to come back on the land trust, and I called him up just the other day and I said, Randy, I'll admit it, the cellophane's still on your programs. I haven't opened them up. Will you come and at least let me do one land trust with you so I can learn it and then move on? And he said, yeah, I can do that on one condition. And I said, what's that? You need to read at least chapter 1. Okay, okay, that's fair. We'll do it, whatever it takes, because we do. We have a person right now that her father passed away and left it to her, and it's taken a year to get through probate. You know, and it's not a big deal. The rent's still coming in. She's getting the checks. It's working out. But what if the tenant, during that year period, came to us and said, hey, Dan, you got me to where I needed to be. I want to buy this place. I'm ready to go. And I say, we're in probate. Might be another year. Now, what do you think the tenant's going to do? Later. We don't want to lose all that work and lose the possibility of, you know, cashing in, getting the profit and leaving. So it's important that we have that in place. And the training is there. So what do you get with the training? Donald, you got a card?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many people are in doing this training with me right now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, Manny's here. Good. Okay, 4, 5, 6, something like that. So there's a card, and here's, just hold it up and show it. So that's Donald's card, and basically all he's doing is he's putting either his name or my name on it. He's got some business cards passing it out. You can be associates or whatever. And he's doing great. You know, this guy sounds like a DJ. When I get him on the phone, I go, hey.
Is that a mailer?
It's a mailer, but the truth is we don't do much in the way of mailing, because even that's kind of like, there's a quicker and easier way to get to these people, right?
Right.
And we know what that is.
Yeah, let them know.
Knock on the door?
Well, let's see. How can I say this and still put it up on YouTube? You know, if you go to the list, because we have lists, you know, we've got all this stuff, you know, the cards, the numbers, go-to meetings, Podio, we'll talk about that a little bit. And you need to let me know when my hour's up, because I'll just go right on through this. Okay? Pull me off stage. See the 10 more minutes? The main thing is, not that you're going to miss something if they pull me off and I didn't get through it all. It's free. Anytime you want to come back and be part of the team and join up, just do it. Okay? It's just your time, the most valuable thing you've got. Now, if you say, Dan, I don't want to do this, I just want to invest some money, we're here. We can do that too. Okay? Whatever it takes. So, we can go out and we can make these phone calls. We've got, you know, canned closers, motivated seller. We've got a number of different people that come here that spoke, and we've got contacts, and we've got databases, and you log into this thing and you work with us, and we give you thousands of leads that you can go spend some time on and go on out there and try to see if you can make something happen. Okay? If you do, you're going to get a fighter's fee of about $500. Either you bring in a cash buyer, $500 if we close, you got to close, or we bring in a property. Bring in a property that we close on, $500, and after you got to your fourth one, we bring it up to $1,000, because by that time I'm not spending so much time training you, right? It's like, damn, this is no brainer. I know what this is. So what? Okay, so we got all these ways of trying to contact people, and at some point we might just give up and go, you know, this is so hard, so difficult. We tried everything, we can't get a hold of them. you know, my last thing is, well, let's just put a sign in the vacant property, for sale or rent by owner. You'd never do that as a realtor, would you? Because there go your license. That's why I'm not licensed. I got nothing to lose. You know, a lawsuit, yeah, okay, could happen. You're kidding me. Somebody put a sign in your name on your property? Really? Why don't you give me your name, your address, your phone number? I'll check into it. I'll get back to you. I'm looking for months to find you. You tell me your name and your address and all that good stuff before they got you. Okay? You know, they're upset with me. Donald said, hey, Dan, I got the city on me now. The city code enforcement have called me up, and they are upset. And I said, take your name off there and put my name on there. Let's just, Michael, let's go back and do our policy change. No more people's names on the sign. Put my name on there and let them call me up. Let them kick me in the butt. And I'll just tell them, hey, look, could have been a mistake. I've got a lot of people doing a lot of things out there. You know, we'll clean it up, whatever it takes. But let me ask you something. Do you want more tax money? Do you want these places cleaned up? Do you want us working as a team? Can you help me? Can I help you? If I can, great. If I can't, I can't. Whatever. Sorry. What happens when an investor puts a "we buy houses on public property" on a corner? And how much do you get fined? If they do that, they get fined. City's not going to go back and find somebody for putting it on private property. It's not their jurisdiction, really. They just tell you, well, you got a problem, go to court. Okay, so I'm on the edge. It's true. But it's not you. It's me dealing with it, okay? So then we have something called Podio. Now, we've got Mike. Where's Mike? From Centrex? There he is. Okay, Mike, thank you. He's worked at Centrex, which is right here in Goleta. They're huge, and you're probably going, well, what is Centrex? Pronounce it. Citrix. I always have a problem with that. Their go-to-meeting. You've all heard of go-to-meeting. That's the company that makes it. Well, they bought up a product a few years back called Podio, and I talked to Michael about this, and he says, yeah, I was working for them for a while. And they said, well, I hope it works for you, Dan, because I'm not real sure what they're going to do with that product. Now, I talked to one of their sales reps, and they said, oh, yeah, no, we're not going to let it go. We're not going to let it go. And they're still hanging in there with it. But here's what happened. I looked at this, and I said, wow, I've been looking for a CRM, Client Resource Management Program, in which we can, or I can, set things up so that we can all work together on this stuff. And I said, so how much is it? They said $9 a month. And I said, how much is it if I have another person in it? And they said, well, if they're your employee, it's another $9. And I said, so if I got 1,000 people, that's $9 times 1,000? They said, yeah. And I said, what? I said, there's a question here I'm not asking right. I'm sure you're going to help me with this. What constitutes an employee? And they said, the domain name. And I said, you mean like if it's National Home Buyers LLC and I've got Donald at National Home Buyers LLC, they're considered my employee? And they said, yeah, that's right. And I said, you mean to tell me if they're Donald at Gmail, they're not my employee? And they said, that's right. You mean to tell me I could have 1,000 of those people and it would only be $9 a month for me? And they said, that's right. I said, boy, that is right. That's like really right. I'm going there. So this is basically how we manage this, a lot of this stuff. And I've got Sheridan here. Morgan, she's gone now.
She stepped up.
She's one of our people that's on this, and she went through about a year of me going, well, that didn't work, let's try this program. Well, that didn't work, let's try this program. And, you know, she's like, Dan, you've been at the university too long with all that computer stuff. You're driving me crazy. So this is a good program. This is what we're using. And I don't have to look anymore. It's kind of like being happily married. You know, there's no more looking. Nothing's gone. You know? I'm happy. And this is something I'm happy with because it does just about everything we need. Cash buyers, okay? So notice, do we have this here? We've got, these are the scripts. So if you're wondering, well, you know, how do you do this stuff? I make some scripts and I put it up there. When you click into it, The scripts will give you all the information that you need. And then we also get these lists from the different people. I'm paying thousands of dollars, or I have paid in the past, to get access to this information. And if I put a script up there and say, okay, I got another cash buyer file attachment going out to Los Angeles County, and oh, by the way, there's 2,345 cash buyers on that list. And it's even better than the property list that I give you, because the property list comes without the names, and we've had a hard time getting to those properties with no names, trying to figure out, hey, Michael, can you help me on Facebook or Google search or whatever, get to these people? These actually come out with people's names on there, maybe 1/5. So if you take 2,345, maybe 1/5 of that will have people's names, and now it's just a matter of calling them up and going, hey, whatever you want to say to them. Now, I've got a script, but I promise you, the less you say to them, the better. Because they don't want to hear telemarketer. The worst thing that happens when the telemarketers call up is they go on and on and on, and you're looking for a chance to hang up, and you just like, shut up. Right?
Well, I usually say, hello, can you hear me? Hello? I said, hello, can you hear me? Hello? They'll hang up themselves.
Exactly. That drives us all crazy, right? So I promise you, the sooner they're sharing, hey, she's back. The sooner you, when you call up and you get them on the phone, you just go, hi, this is Donald, and I noticed that you're doing some real estate. Is this a good time to call or a bad time? Immediately give it up to them. Give them the power, because if you've got that many leads, you know, there's probably 5,000 leads here. Does it really matter if they go, no, it's not, see you later, shut up, never call me again, goodbye? No, the sooner you get through that call on to the next, the better off you're going to be. Right? So you give them the power, give them the floor. Is this a good time to call or a bad time? Even if it was a good time, and you didn't ask that question, guess what happens? Instead of listening to you and focusing on what you guys really want to talk about, they're thinking, this is a telemarketer. How do I get off the phone? They caught me. But if you say, is this a good time to call or a bad time? And they say, and it gives them a chance to actually get in the game, and they say, yeah, it's okay. Then they let all that go. Now they're actually present with you. And they're willing to talk with you. If they say no, just say, well, you know, I can call you back or not call you back. It's up to you. There's a thing in sales called takeaway. You know what that is? You can't have. You want what you can't have. Okay? Not that we're doing the sales game, but it does work. Is this a good time or a bad time? I'll go. No, wait a minute, don't go. Don't go. Okay, I'm done. So now, I really have a lot more there to tell you about going green and solar and electric cars and all kinds of good stuff. But the truth is, you can ask me that all day long on our phone calls when we're doing this hourly thing, and during the week we're doing emails and phone calls and everything else. It's your time. That's all. The most important thing you've got, and you either have or you don't. It's free. So I want to thank you all for the time that you have given me and given everybody today, and I hope that you guys are networking and asking the questions you want. Give me a call. Join our team. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have a break? 20-minute break. Hey, now, you know what? We got 2 more speakers left. Don't go home. Network. We come back and ask some questions because you can't ask them watching the video.